Good morning all. I just thought I'll quickly go through the steps involved in drawing the ordinate method. So I've drawn up an isometric plane here and I've divided that from midpoint to midpoint. So the length is 50. The aim is to draw an isometric curve or an isometric arc here. So the first step would be the radius of the arc is 25. So the radius of the arc is 25 and this length, total length is 50 for example. So what I've done here is I've drawn just a horizontal line and a vertical line, and then I've drawn a quarter of an arc. The radius of this arc being 25. Okay, so I'm just going to zoom into that. So the first step here is, so I've got point 1, which is this point, and point 4, which is this point. The aim is to plot 2 and 3 and transfer them here. Now once I have 1, 2, 3, 4, I can draw an isometric arc. So what I'm going to do here is, my first step would be to divide this into 3 parts. So I'm going to draw a 30-degree line and then a 60-degree line. So if you see here, I've drawn a 30-degree line. Okay, now that point of intersection is important. What I did next is I took my set square 60 or a protractor and I drew a 60-degree line. Okay, so 30, 60, and the total angle is 90. What I'm going to do next is that point of intersection, I'm going to label it as point 2 and point 3. We already have 1 and 4. We're going to find point 2 and point 3. So now I have point 1, the point of intersection point 2, again another point of intersection point 3, and then the last point, point 4. Now I'm going to take these lines and transfer it here and then finally draw an isometric arc. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to take, I'm going to draw a perpendicular from the point of intersection. So from that point of intersection, I'm just going to draw a perpendicular line, okay, and I'm going to draw a horizontal line, okay. So now I'm going to measure that distance. Okay, so that's the horizontal distance from the point of projection, and I'm going to draw or find out the vertical height. So I know the coordinates of point 2. X distance is 2.5, Y is 21.65. I'm going to plot that here. So what I'm going to do is 12.5 21.65. So I now have point 2, which is from this origin, linear distance 12.5 and then vertical height 12.65. So I'm going to call this point number 2. That is a little too thick, but anyway. What I could do is, I'll just get rid of this. So I'll call this point 2. Now I'm going to do the same thing for point number 3. So I'm going to find or draw a line from there, and the horizontal distance for this line is 12.65. Okay. So from this origin, I'm going to draw a line 12.65. Then I'm going to find out the vertical distance. It's 12.5. So I'm going to plot point 3. So from here, the distance is 21.65. And then the vertical distance is 12.5. I'm going to call that point number 3. Okay. Now once I have the points, so I've plotted point 2 and 3, all I need to do is join it using an arc. So in this case, I'm just going to use a spline, but you would use freehand, or you would use a French curve, or you could use a flexible curve. So there you go. I've just drawn a quarter of an isometric arc. Now if I was going to continue that, the process is fairly simple. What I would do is I could just extend those lines. Okay. And then that same height, 12.5, I'll plot that point down, and 21.65, I'll plot that point down as well. So I'll get point number 5, 6, and 7. So I've just repeated that process here. So I've got point number 5, point number 6, and point number 7. So from point number 3, this distance and this distance is equal. Just repeated the same process again. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to join them using a nice smooth arc. So if you see that, can you see a half of an ellipse just being formed? So you would repeat the same process on this side and this side. So it will be a mirror image. So there you go. We've just seen how to draw an isometric arc using ordinate method. I hope it was helpful. Thanks for watching.